Welcome, ranchers, to Mindfulness with Marsha, coming to you today from my home office space. It was just about a week ago, my doctor recommended that I work from home. And I can tell you that being both at my Minot office and now here at home, well, both spaces have advantages and disadvantages. For example, at my Minot office, all my stuff is there. I feel like, this is my workspace. And ergonomically, it's comfortable. I set it up so that I can work long hours on the computer or be in a meeting for long hours. And the best part is when I was practicing social distancing, which we'll talk about later, about maybe that should be called physical distancing. Well, I was with people. Here, I've tried several locations, different rooms, different places in the rooms for my work area. It's still not very comfortable. And I'm disrupted all the time by my four-legged kids. Either they're howling or they're playing too loud or they're barking, or I used a baby gate thinking that would work, and they dug a big hole in the carpet. That's a whole nother story that made mom very angry. But the worst part, there's nobody to talk to face to face. Everything is virtual. So both of these work options or areas that I'm trying to work in are really requiring me to deal with change. Change. For several weeks now, our country, the state of North Dakota, and even here at the ranch, we've experienced change in every aspect of our work, but also, maybe more importantly, of our lives. As an educator and what I would call a mindfulness student, I know that many of these changes affect us deeply because we're human beings. Areas of safety, belonging, connectiveness, that social aspect, worrying about providing for our family or ourselves through tough times of possible no work. And of course, amidst a virus of this sort, the physical um, health. And as we know at the ranch, of course, our behavioral health. It's no wonder we feel out of control. Many people have shared with me, Marcia, I don't even know what day it is anymore. I don't either sometimes. Some of those things were habits that we didn't even realize we were doing. Maybe it was the calendar on the fridge. Maybe it was my Fitbit. Maybe it was the phone. Maybe it was a calendar I saw on my way to work. All of those little sightings would log in, and it was habitual and automatic that we would remember what day it was because we saw it on a calendar. Or maybe it was because our routines. This is what I do on Tuesday morning. This is what I do on Thursday afternoon. Friday night, well, that's a different story. You see, all those things have been disrupted. And so if you're not knowing or feeling a little bit of like, when is it? What day is it? You're not alone. And if you're older like me, you're not losing your mind either. It just comes with trying to deal with so much change. I realized that this virus had me also feeling sad. And it sent me into kind of a funky tailspin, and everything about my schedule, what I was eating, my hours of sleep, and definitely my regular routine was slowly but surely feeling more and more and more and more out of control. And I was trying to grab it and bring it back into control. So I remembered some of my teaching about mindful living, to take a deep breath, try to have a soft landing, and just sit with it a moment. What is it about being out of control? And reminding myself the tools that I've learned. Many are not habits yet because they're newer, And one tool that was it just clearly jumped into my head is that I've had all this change in a matter of days. But my mindful living plan, my self-care plan specifically, which it was very difficult for me and still is sometimes for me to remember to put on my oxygen mask first. I forget that. And it was so clear to me at that moment that I need to adapt and revisit my self-care plan. I talk, I share, I quote about the importance of self-care all the time. And here I'd forgotten, totally forgotten in all of this chaos and change, to really think about mine. So for a moment, in case you're brand new to Mindfulness with Marsha, or you just need, like me, sometimes to be reminded, what exactly is a mindful living self-care plan? Simply put, I would say it's a fail-safe plan, a list of things possibly that you create, and that you fill in the blanks with your favorite activities for self-care. Important reminders to yourself or ways to activate others to help you stay accountable, to help bring joy into your life. And right now, a lot of that has to be virtual or on the phone because we are practicing that physical distancing. You know, a lot of mindful leaders and mental health specialists are really saying they don't really like the term social distancing because as humans, we really need that social connectiveness. And in fact, that's what so many of us are missing right now. Yes, we can stay 6 feet apart physically, but let us not forget to connect socially. Like I said, even if that has to be virtually right now or over the phone. And from a mindfulness or mindful living point of view, something we've talked about here often is how are you going to respond to the stimulus of change or that stimulus of feeling out of control? Are you going to just react and kind of just let it flow? And I have too many other things to deal with now, so I'm just going to react. So in other words, when I'm feeling a little frustrated and out of control, I'm just going to react. I'm going to run over and get some crackers, and I'm just going to eat those for lunch, even though I know that that's not very healthy. Or am I going to remember that between stimulus and that reaction, there's that space, there's that moment where I can stop and say, I want to respond instead. I want to respond in a healthy way. Either I'm going to get up during that frustrating moment, and if I'm truly hungry, go find something healthy to eat rather than crackers. But a lot of times for me, I'm not hungry and I'm not thirsty. I just want that because that's what I've used all my life for my self-care, which really wasn't very good for me. So maybe now instead of running for the crackers, I'm just going to get up, move around, go outside if I can and grab some sunshine. Do something to respond instead of just merely react. Then I can feel more control of my circumstances, and maybe then my life won't feel so chaotic. Now, you'll find it easier to stick to your self-care strategy and avoid falling into a trap of making excuses if you have a plan or a list of things that you've really thought about before you're in a crisis and need it. Well, right now we're there. We're in change all the time. So we really don't have the luxury, I guess you would say, of having it ready for before COVID, because COVID's here. But that doesn't mean you still can't think about it or ask a colleague, a family member, a friend that you don't want to wind up in isolation and you want to have somebody to keep you accountable and say, hey, how about some self-care, even in these virtual days? that holding one another accountable and sharing the responsibility to support one another. We need that right now. We keep hearing we're in this together. Are you? Are you in it together? I wasn't. I was sort of taking care of myself. And I wasn't doing it in a way that was exactly according to the plan I wanted to do for mindful living. So that's why I revisited and recommitted and intentionally have said to myself, Marsh, you're going to do these things now. Now, what if I go grab some crackers anyway, even though I've said I'm going to do something else? I'm not going to shame myself. We've got too much stress going on that I don't need to put on a bunch of shoulds. I'm not going to should on myself, and I don't want you to should on yourself. But thinking about it, asking somebody to hold you accountable, well, that's a good plan to at least, be thinking in a positive way of not reacting, but responding to the changes that are going on in your life right now. So this week, I want you to take pause. If you have a mindful living self-care plan or list, revisit it. See if there are things there that you could really utilize for yourself or maybe your family. If you don't have one, this would be a great activity you could do for yourself. If you like to journal or write a list of things that would be great comfort, a soft landing right now when you do feel anxious or you're dealing with change and feel out of control. Or you could do it as a family. After all, you're all gathered together. Structure and schedules have all changed. We often change our schedules and our structures during the summer months. School's out, we're on vacation, and yet so many of us kept thinking, well, this too shall pass quickly. And right now, ranchers, it doesn't seem like it's going to be quick. So if you haven't got a structure in your home yet, even if you're a home of one, you still need a structure and some ideas of a schedule of how you're going to be maneuvering through these next days and weeks ahead. Gather ideas this week of things that are especially make you happy, activities you can do alone or with others. Thank goodness we do live in North Dakota and we could go outside and take a walk or be in nature and still have great physical distancing if we need be. Think about the beliefs that get you through tough times and provide for yourself. This is what I'm going to do when I need a little calming or soft landing. This is what I'm going to do together with my family when I see that we're sort of amping up and we need to be able to just settle our nervous systems together during this time of crisis and change. Next week, I promise I'll share a few items on my list as we collaborate virtually on some ideas that can get us through this time of change, crisis, in a more mindful way. Until then, ranchers, please be well. Take care of yourselves.